Radicals of Reddit, what are you strongly opinionated about? Legalize all drugs, and sell them to adults in any quantity they desire. The government should only regulate them in terms of ensuring that the manufacturers are providing the chemical they claim to be selling, and that they are meeting quality purity standards. I'm not just talking about illegal recreational drugs here. Eliminate the need for prescriptions to get medications. Cartels, gangs, and terrorist organizations will lose funding. Addicts will have no need to commit thefts to feed their habit when prices bottom out. Ultimately, addiction problems will sort themselves out. There is nothing positive about working 9-5 MF. It causes so much depression and leaves little room for personal growth or the chance to do anything with your week during the best hours of the day. All that shit about it used to be 80 hours a week is bullshit because 100 years ago sure, but there's more than enough technological advances that we could shorten the work weeks in this era. Put simply, if corporations and the government wanted to, they would. But they know they have everyone by the balls by keeping us corporate slaves. Fairly radical environmentalist here. The Earth was here before us, and will be here long after we go extinct. And yet, the vast diversity of life here exists at such a speck in our planet's history, in an environment that seemingly hasn't been replicated among millions of other planets. All life is important, and we need to put our planet and the life it supports besides us before human social, economic, and political needs. For those that are familiar, deep ecology is a concept that I strongly believe in. I used to be the most libertarian person you'd ever meet. Now, I unironically believe snacks, specifically chips, candy, etc. should be either taxed a healthy 30% excise tax on all purchases or outright made illegal to sell in public schools and to children younger than 16. Our country is declining in terms of life expectancy, and it's mostly due to lifestyle issues and obesity. It's just made worse by a bad healthcare system that the whole of society needs changed, and it needs to happen quickly. Those in power need to be forced out of power because their greed is ruining the planet. I'm not one to call for violence, but these people are well enough okay with making those under them suffer for their entire lives. I feel we took the wrong path in evolution the past 100-ish years and are now a dystopian society that's rotting from the inside. For a contentious opinion, I'd proscribe funerals and research institutions take legal possession of your body after death. It'd take precedence over religious obligations, any posthumous assertions, and any obsolete contravenes of your post-human rights. Your organs, your whole body, would be property of scientists to experiment upon or donate to the living for transplants. Having a strong opinion based on facts does not make one a radical, however those offended by facts tend to be rather fanatical in their radical push of their own propaganda agendas, altered facts and the censorships of others who call them out on it. Facts equal truth, but not all truths are based on facts, and that is the problem, not the solution. I fucking hate CEOs. All these suit-wearing cunts take as much as they can and give as little as possible. There are no good CEOs, don't try to convince me otherwise. No one needs more than $1 million, don't try to convince me otherwise. People that defend them are the only true losers in life because they think the success might rub off on them. If you have worked inside since the year 2000, you should know how to use a goddamn computer. Being computer illiterate at this point in history is the same as being illiterate. We did it, guys. Top comment on Reddit for July 1, 2016. I'm glad our mutual hate of ignorance has bonded us all together. I very strongly believe that queer people should have all the rights as regards marriage and expression that cishet people do, and that, as far as religious freedom plays into that, freedom of religion should end where it harms others or interferes with the rights of others, but by federal law, it currently does not. 2A should be repealed and all guns taken away from people. Lived 43 years in the US, including many years in the bad part of the city, and never once thought I needed a gun to keep me safe. People don't need to hunt, but they can still do so with bow arrow. You aren't going to overthrow the government either. The government should supply all basic things absolutely necessary for survival. Being lazy, not getting a job shouldn't be punishable by death by starvation. Basically, if you don't support the death penalty, you can't turn around and say it's okay for people to die from no assistance because they can't get a job. Recreational marijuana use is a net negative on society. Also, diversity is not a strength. It's a weakness. Apes together strong. When you have different factions all going in different directions with different values, it pulls society apart. We need to be working towards a common good, together. People who are unsympathetic to others' problems to the point of being disrespectful are the biggest pussies in the world. 99 of people if put in others' shoes would have similar reactions. It's easy to pretend something doesn't matter when it doesn't affect you. This can be applied to many things. The economy and flow of work will collapse without high-capacity infrastructure expansion. Traffic will become too bad to reasonably get to work or home on time, and it will become more and more dangerous. We need high-speed rail, and we need to alter roadways to better facilitate pedestrian use. There should be an age limit for politicians. No one over 60 can be in the government. The old farts in politics are so out of touch and can't even finish a speech without having 1,000 years stare for a good 5 minutes that I'm tempted to report their families for elder abuse. Palestine should be free. Israel are the terrorists committing mass genocide and ethnic cleansing. Hitting a child in any form is child abuse. ETA trans people are people and we deserve to live our lives without constant harassment, threats, violence and death. Gen eds in college should be limited to subjects that are useful for everyone, such as English in an English-speaking country of course, a foreign language, and PE. As a history major, I shouldn't have to lower my GPA because I'm bad at math and science. Apparently that a thread titled Radicals of Reddit, what are you strongly opinionated about? Should be filled with radical opinions, not HRRDRR use your turn signals and similar detritus. But hey, I had to break my own rule to even post it, so Christian nationalism needs to die, quickly. I am tired of seeing politicians try and turn my country into a theocracy. Keep religion out of politics, hospitals, schools, and get rid of tax exemption for religious institutions. If you don't clear the time remaining on the microwave after pulling your food out early so that it clearly displays the time, then you're a despicable human being that natural selection failed at weeding out of our gene pool. Billionaires should not be allowed to exist. The wealth generated by our markets should be extremely heavily taxed and used to create a better life for the many, not the few. Nobody needs a yacht but everyone needs a dentist. Suffering is not ennobling, and most suffering is created by bad social structures. Things being traditional is not in itself a justification for them continuing to exist. Less bad is better than more bad. Science exists exactly to eliminate the need to rely on experts. Yet it seems too many people who claim to believe in science are always telling everyone to trust the experts. It's backward and I hate it. People should have access to free or cheap healthcare regardless of income. There is no reason that anybody in the US should be dying of things like abscess teeth or a lack of access to insulin in 2023. That if the world adopted robo-socialism as a world ideology, humanity would live life to the fullest while still avoiding civilization-ending apocalypses. It's the ultimate answer to politics, really. Our controversial club member here. Apparently, voicing your opinion that the gold camos of Call of Duty and We Are Ugly AF merits being most controversial post of the day. I will die on this silly hill. Depending on who you talk to, this is a very radical opinion. I think nuclear power is generally safe and we should be building a lot more nuclear power plants, not close down the ones we have. I'm a pro-lifer for abortion. My mom, before having me, had a miscarriage and said it was the hardest time of her life, finding that her baby had died. From then on, I have been pro-life. I hate people who stand right in front of an elevator door waiting to get on. Most times there will be people inside waiting to exit the same elevator. Get out of their fucking way! ISO 8601 and Unix time are the only acceptable date time formats. Everything else needs to stop. Muslim immigration is undermining Western values through rhetoric and demographic means and should thereby be limited to an absolute minimum of educated and skilled individuals. Opinions OMFG. You can't swing a dead cat by the tail in this place without hitting somebody that has an opinion about stuff they have neither experience nor expertise in. Doing a 720 in the 90s was just as impressive as a 1080 today. Both are totally rad tricks, regardless of whether we are talking skis, snowboards, skateboards, etc. Pronouns. Look, being proud of who you are is one thing, but being offended because I didn't address you as non-binary helicopter destroyer is total bullshit. Human rights, higher minimum pay, easier access to food and health, free school lunch that is more than just a single sandwich, easier access to housing. The country I live in is too soft on criminals and minorities engaging in criminal behavior. Food theft I can agree with, but beyond that, not really. Implementing generative AI with the specific purpose of replacing jobs while also eliminating social safety nets will cause the collapse of our economy. I think honing a gun is important. However unlikely, I refuse to be completely helpless to defend myself or my family if someone breaks into my home. Blade Runner 2049 was sci-fi Oscar bait. John Carter was the isekai and was terrible. I'm glad it bombed. David Fincher is an overrated director. The toilet paper roll must be hung with the loose end draping over the top of the roll and facing the user. To do otherwise is an abomination. In most situations, society would be better off if infrastructure was designed around bikes and public transport. Also, libraries are rad. Credo in unum deum. Patrem omnipotentem. Factorum caeli et terrae. Visibilium omnium et invisibilium. Et in unum dominum isum Christum. The US government has become way too powerful, inefficient, and wasteful to still be for the people and by the people. It needs gutted. People should stop eating meat for the unnecessary suffering it causes as an issue by itself, but also for climate and health reasons. If one of the superpowers took over running the entire planet, then I strongly feel that China would make the least worst job of it. I was taught that Pluto was a planet my entire life and I intend to stick to it. I will fight anyone who disagrees. If you get to a stop sign first, don't be courteous and weigh on the second person. Your crumbling social normals, injustice, racism, exploitation, colonization, apartheid, police brutality, monopolies. Normal shit. You know, according to other radicals, I'm too strongly opinionated about my right to live and I should debate them about it. Why does it matter which way the toilet paper hangs off the roll? Just freaking replace it when it's all gone. Anything less than a 100 volunteer workforce is immoral. It's not realistic now, but maybe in 1,000 years. The news is opinionated and we should stop using TikTok since it's run by a questionable country.